Alright, what's up, y'all? We're back. Monday, February 9th. Started a new trading week. We had a bit of news this week, so I guess we'll do a quick recap on the week. I want to start doing that in my videos. So, if we go here, economic calendar on investing.com. That's what I use to look at my news, and then I know Tradeovate themselves also has news. So today, obviously no news, as you guys can see here, right? No news in the afternoon. No important news in the morning. Yeah, you can say this, but it's not. We look for 3 stars, right? So it's only 2 stars, so it's not that important. Then we got tomorrow. Tomorrow, we have some decent news. It's a little early in the day, right? We have retail sales, core retail sales, and that's it for tomorrow. So tomorrow's not going to be too much either. And then we'll do for this week. So we have Tuesday. Wednesday is a big day. I'm pretty sure Wednesdays we have CPI, I think, one of these days during the week, I think. But here, right, average hourly earnings, non-farm, and then unemployment. Crude oil later in the day, still in the morning. And then we have 10-year note auction at lunch hour. Thursday, U.S. news, initial jobs claimless, existing home sales, 30-year bond auction. Right, so Thursday is going to be a big day as well as Wednesday. And then Friday, we have news again. Yep, news, CPI on Friday, early in the morning. So I'll probably be up looking at the chart here just so we can see how CPI is moving and stuff, how it's moving the market. And then right, Saturday, Sunday, nothing on those days. So quite a bit of news. When it's a week like that, right, like Monday, for example, I won't trade, but today I traded. So I like to say Monday I won't trade, but I always do end up trading. I'm just more cautious on, how I take my trades and stuff like that. But again, Tuesday, not too much news. So again, tomorrow I'll be cautious. Well, it's always be cautious every day, but tomorrow I'm going to be extra cautious. Wednesday, Thursday, normal trading. And then Friday, same thing. Good CPIs early in the day. So it's still going to affect us, but it won't be, we won't get a big move at 10 o'clock. And I'll be like, oh, okay, what the hell's happening? So that should be good. Yeah, today was the start of Tradeovate. I actually hate Tradeovate. So, yeah, I just don't like how it's like, I got used to Top Step X and TradingView, right? That's where I learned on TradingView. And Top Step X is similar. So Tradeovate to me is a little different, right? The drawing tools are different. Switching time frame, everything, right? Setting limits, right? I'm literally just clicking the screen here. I can set a limit. So still getting used to it, right? Not necessarily liking it so far, but I can't complain. At least I'm still able to trade. So, but yeah, just showing you guys here the details on my account for today. One trading day, made 1,000 today. I'll show you guys a trade in a second. Again, you guys can see here 1,025. Oh, nice. Look, I can show you guys the events here, right? CPI, unemployment, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that was today. I took 2 trades today. They were actually pretty good trades. And I'll show you guys right now if I can get used to this chart. So I'll show you what trades I took first, and then I'll show you why I took them. So here, you guys can see. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this was the first trade I took in the morning. Yeah, I took it because we had this. We were gonna inverse this gap here, so I kind of front ran the gap. Right, so I entered a little bit before we inversed it. Again, we took liquidity here, but here's that first trade. Bought at 25.43.25. Got out at 77. So that was 20. You guys can see here actually 675 P&L. It's about 30 ticks of the move, so which was nice. Full TP of 1,000 would have been roughly. It would have been more than here. 1,000 would have been here, right? And the original TP was here, so that would have been maybe 1,500. And then the second trade I took today was this one here. 25 110, got at a 25 20, 25 128. So again, 18 ticks, but I still made right 370, almost $400 in the trade. So that got me up to 1,000. And then just reminding you guys that I'm being aggressive on the prop firms, so that's why these trades are like this. I'm not holding it right to TP. I'm sizing up on contracts. As you guys can see, about 10 micros, so 1 mini equivalent. So yeah, I'll show you why I entered on those trades. So we'll start off with the daily time frame. Let's reset the chart. So yeah, on the daily time frame, I don't know what the hell these are. Oh, okay, those are the. This is the fair value gap. Okay. So again, daily time frame, right? We're tagging the suspension block. We took the entire liquidity of it. So daily time frame, right? Couldn't really tell much of what we wanted to do, other than sweeping this low here, right on the Friday. Then we move to the 4-hour time frame. Again, this is kind of where I'm being able to tell my bias for the day. So I have these two equal highs, right? We have this high up here. So these are my external draws on liquidity. Also, as well as this one, more of the intraday external draw, right? The one they're most likely going to hit during the day. And then we have this imbalance in here that we want to come fill, as well as this imbalance in here that we want to come fill. Then again here, right, we have bullish fair value gaps. We have this inversion gap on the 4-hour. Again, we inverse this gap, so tomorrow will actually be, hopefully kind of hold here. We'll be looking to go long. So again, 4-hour, right, we tag these this fair value gap, as well as tagging the inverse on the 4-hour that we inversed on the 9 a.m. candle. And then again, right, look to go up from there. We also have this volume imbalance in here, which is new week opening gap. So we also tagged the new week opening gap last night is when we started tagging it. So that's what I noted on the 4-hour. We'll go down to the 1-hour. This is that fair value gap that I have marked out. I really hate this trade, or trade bait. Okay. So sorry if it's so zoomed out. But again, right, hourly fair value gap we want to hit. We have a bunch of equal highs in here, right, equal highs in here. Right, those are the equal highs we want to hit. And again, we have the inverse of the hourly gaps. So as we noted, we have this inverse in here. We have the inversion here on the hourly gap. And then if you look later into the time, 3 a.m. created a bearish gap. And again, inverse the gap as well. So that's another kind of tell. And then as you guys can see here, I'll erase this little blue line here, sell side liquidity. So this is one liquidity spot, was the Asia, sorry, it wasn't the Asia, it was the London low that I wanted us to sweep. It was one of the areas of the sell side liquidity. So we actually we did end up sweeping this low before we made that move up, and you guys will see on the lower time frames as well. And again, right, tagging these fair value gaps. This little baby one in here we tagged. Tagged this one here as well. And then as well as this inversion gap, we came and tagged down the hour. Going down to the 15-minute. This is where we started noting some SMTs, right? I'm pretty sure we could have noted it on the 1 hour too. Yep, on hourly SMT as well there. And I will draw that out for you guys. Hourly SMT. We'll move this one to the hour. Right, it's the same 15-minute hourly SMT, so we'll just draw it out on the 1 hour, just so you guys can see. There we go. So it's not perfect, but you guys get the gist of it, right? We have the SMT there. Then going out on the 15-minute, as you guys know, it's still relative to the time frame, so time frames are same, just more detailed picture. So again here, right, SMT, as you guys can see, 4:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m. we have the the London low swept. As soon as market opened, we swept it, and then we started to kind of have a bullish run on the day. And again here, sweep of liquidity. Right, we got these inversion gaps in here, inverse, little baby one, inverse. We didn't inverse any on the way up through this move, but that's okay, right? We inverse these, and we have the higher time frame inverses. And then we go down in the 1 minute. this is where we start to see kind of the, if I can figure out this chart, is where we can see the executions. I did execute on the 1 minute, so as you guys can see here, so again here, right, blue line, I don't want to zoom all the way, but this is the blue line in the 15 minute that we swept the London lows, and then we created this first not first presented gap, right, because it's not past the time of 8:30, but we have this fair value gap that we created here, and you know, bigger fair value gaps are more meaningful, quote unquote. So we have that in there, and again, I kind of front ran the fair value gap, entered at 43, so right about here, and then came down just a little bit before we started rallying up. I was down about 400 at one point, and then it ended up making the 675, so it's a pretty good trade, right? I could have held up here. This was the internal draw that I was aiming for, the first draw, and then we have this draw. This was the draw on the day for the entire day I was hoping for, and as you guys can see, we actually did end up hitting it, which was pretty nice. So again, first trade of the day, inversion gap, got out at 675 profit. And then noted here, we have the first presented gap of the day. I noticed that we came and tagged it, right? I could have held it, stop loss right below the fair value gap, which would have been one entry, or should have been your entry, right? We came in here, again, original TP was at here, but I noted, right, I'm up $370. Let me get out of the trade, call 1,000 even, and then, you know, I have tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to make another 2,000 to pass the account. So that was a pretty good trade right here. Right, I should have held it. It was very quick, but we'll take the 370 where we can take it. And again, this would have been a really nice entry, right? You have entry right at the beginning of the fair value gap, at 8:39, first presented gap of the day. And we also have these inversion gaps, also the inversion gaps on the higher time frame, SMT, and sweep of liquidity. So this is an A plus setup right here. So if you guys waited right here for the A plus setup, this was a little early in the setup, right? I grade this like B plus, but still, it's an amazing trade. So we have this fair value gap, right? Entry right at the beginning of the fair value gap, go down a little bit, and depending on your contract size, you guys could have took a TP here at 157. That would have been about 47 ticks, so about 50 ticks. 10 contracts, that's, let me do the math. What did I say? 50 times 20, 1,000. So they're on 1,000 TP, so not too bad. All right, and again, 1,000 TP is great. So okay, quick little intermission, but we're back. So again, right, entry right here, stop loss right below this low of the fair value gap. If you want to risk this, but this stop loss is too wide, right? 954, entry at 100, so that's, I don't even know, 70 ticks, 100 ticks, right? So it's way too wide of a stop loss. Even here, right, 72 to 113 is a very wide stop loss. So, but that's the more appropriate stop loss for this trade. Again, you can always size down on contracts to risk less depending on your risk tolerance. Oh my god, if I can even say that right. So again, right, then we come back, as you guys can see, come back in here and tag it, play around in it a little bit before we end up, you know, going up for the rest of the day. And again, right, another example here, it could have been another trade entry, inversion of this gap, could have entered on the inversion, could also enter on this retracement back to this fair value gap in here, right? And we also have break of structure, and again, right, market structure shift above these highs, for example, and as you guys can see, right, we continue up on the day, as well as here, right, retracement back into these fair value gaps, inversion of these gaps, fair value gap in here, we tagged into, again, another fair value gap in here, another one in here, inversion gap in here, fair value gap in here, and as you guys can see, right, this is a bunch of entries you could have entered for the day. And then we kind of consolidated the rest of the day. So overall, even though we had no news today was actually a pretty solid day of trading. Moves were more in the morning of the day, and again, I know some people wait 15 minutes for their trade entries, but me personally, like sometimes I'll enter, not right when market opens, I'll wait a little bit, but for example, as you guys saw earlier, that was kind of one example of how you would enter 15 minutes before that 9:45 candle. And again, no news to affect my trades or anything. So overall, it was a pretty good day. Again, as you guys can see, 1,000 P&L. Looking to pass the account by this week. Not going to force any trades, but if I see, another A entry, going to enter, look for 1,000 TP, and then you guys can see here. And yeah, if you guys got any tips for Tradeovate, please send them over. I'm still struggling with the Tradeovate, or if you got any indicators you guys know of on Tradeovate or something like that, send them over. I'll check them out, and I'll let you guys know if they're any good. So yeah, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And if this video helped you guys out, I don't know why I keep saying them. If this video helped you guys out, just don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.